consistently from, you know, whatever, first thing when you wake up, like, those dogs need something. You have to be able and willing to go take care of them until literally we go to bed.
24-hour thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, doing, you know, being a dog trainer takes a lot of time, and it's a huge part of your life, but you also found a way to find balance in your life and make time for things that you enjoy doing. What are some of those things?
A couple of the things that I am doing now, I have an Italian language class that I go to at the Chattanooga School of Language. That has been so fantastic. I have a goal. Oh gosh, no. I have a goal to be fluent one day, but I'll tell you it is not today.
How do you say my name is Dana?
Mi chiamo Dana.
See, that's
about
that's cool.
It's been a really cool experience. It's a very small group class, so our goal is that hopefully maybe fall of next year, the whole family wants to take a trip to Italy. So my goal is to be
the interpreter.
Exactly. Able to communicate relatively clearly once we go. So that's awesome. Kind of
that's awesome.
That goal. And I also do a work share on a farm.
What's that?
Essentially, it's a small family-owned farm in Decatur, Tennessee, and they offer what's called a CSA for the, you know, people that want to buy their vegetables, their seasonal vegetables, from a small local farmer. And they had posted something on Facebook about needing people, work share people. So basically you go out, you work a certain number of hours a week, and you kind of earn that same basket of veggies, and you just work for it instead of paying for it. And I have personally always wanted to have a farm, and so I thought that was the perfect opportunity to see if that's really what I liked. I thought it would make me not want to grow stuff as much at home. My husband will tell you I like to plant things but might forget to water them. And it's been an awesome experience there too, because meeting different types of people, everyone kind of has their own thing that they're really good at out there. So between those two things I try to balance it a little bit and get to enjoy.
That's awesome. So there's more to life than just work, and finding that it's a lot of work, but finding that balance. It's cool that you've found a way to do what you enjoy doing as a hobby too. Other things. That's really neat. Let's see. Let's talk about something pretty easy here. Breeds of dogs. What are your favorite breeds of dogs to work with?
I'm biased. German Shepherds.
German Shepherds.
German Shepherds. Charlie, I have a German Shepherd, and they can be kind of challenging too. We know their breed characteristics, and sometimes those are what make them a bit of a challenge to work with. As far as, let's see if I had to
You've
pick
recently
one.
worked with some rare breeds, right?
Yeah, probably the most recent one that I really enjoyed and can't say I had a ton of experience with before was a Lagotto Romagnolo, and it's an Italian hunting dog.
That's awesome.
And she was super cool. She was incredibly intelligent, a really fun dog to work with, and I actually have someone else with the same breed, another Lagotto that is going to start training. So it's kind of like opened the door to that. They're not super common. There's just a handful of them, I believe, in Chattanooga right now.
Got two.
Exactly.
That's cool.
She was a lot of fun. Minnie was a lot of fun to get to work with.
Very cool.
Awesome. So those.
Any other favorite breeds?
I am pretty attached to my Malinois now, so again, very different from Shepherds, and I don't feel like I get to work with them a ton right now, but I would really love to be able to do that more, because he is not exactly to the breed characteristic specifications of a Mal, but he is a fun dog to work with, and being able to, instead of it being kind of breed specific for me, I feel like it's more kind of helping the person find out what they enjoy doing with their dog, whether it's something like agility or just basic obedience training to improve that relationship. Yep, absolutely.
Cool. So you've got a German Shepherd named Charlie, a Mal named Yeti, and then Isadora.
Isadora's our Italian Greyhound.
Okay. Yep. You recently got your BH with Charlie.
I did.
Congratulations.
I did. Thank you.
It's a huge accomplishment.
I was very proud of him.
Yeah. And you do nose work with them as well.
Yeah.
A little bit of agility on the side. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
You have some other critters too. Let's talk about those guys.
I do have 3 cats. We've got 3 cats, and I can't say that they're trained necessarily. That's not the area.
Can you really train cats?
They train people, actually.
They're a little different from dogs.
They are. Yes, but all of our cats do like dogs, and so they can be very, very helpful. They're not afraid of dogs. So again, the animals that we're working with in the house, working around distractions. A lot of dogs aren't good with cats. They don't understand boundaries. They don't understand this is not a toy.
Dog-savvy cats.
Exactly. And also we have our bunny Chip.
Little Chip.
Just got a little Chip. He's a Holland Lop and about 6 months old now. And he also loves dogs. He was originally from a home
really
that
cute.
had dogs. Thank you. He is adorable. And he is very dog savvy, not scared of them. And so again, he's very helpful. I use him as a helper for training and proofing
Good
to
distraction.
distractions. Exactly.
Yep.
Because he's just chill.
Oh.
All the dogs, whether they're my personal dogs or the dogs coming in. And again, it's a good opportunity to teach boundaries, and just because it is technically prey doesn't mean it is.
Don't eat it.
Right, you're not allowed
Don't
to eat
eat
Chip. He is off limits.
So you mentioned a little bit about working with the owners and building that relationship. Because everybody asked me, and I'm sure they ask you, like, which one is harder, training dogs or teaching owners? And people usually assume it's one or the other. But in your experience, what would you say is the more challenging of the two?
I feel like probably, as far as challenges are concerned, that would be making sure you're explaining things to the dog's owner in a way that not only do they understand, because you're not always presenting information that's all rainbows and butterflies, and that can be a bit of a challenge to make sure you're explaining things to someone in a way that
Especially
computes well to them.
With
and
rehab cases, people
there's
tend
a lot
to
of emotion.
They don't understand it.
And being able to, not be just blunt, this, and this, but you also can't sugarcoat things past reality. So being able to make sure they not only understand why we're doing what we're doing, but how it's going to work, what the benefit is to their dog, their family member. So certainly some dogs are a little more challenging than others. Plenty of them didn't read the book on how things are supposed to go. You have to be able to be flexible in your training methods. And use what's going to work for not only that dog but also that owner, what they can follow through with at home, what's going to be feasible for their follow-up. So I would probably say, depending on the actual relationship between dog and handler, making sure your communication with the owner is on point.
And I think that's where, in dog training as a general rule, that it's not there. That the training aspect is there, but the teaching aspect is lacking.
Right.
I know of a lot of dog trainers where, they train the dog and then they send the dog home, and there's so little follow through that the dog quickly reverts back. I love that, as a company, we really emphasize teaching the owners, because they're the ones that live with the dogs. We can train them, but they have to understand, what we did in training, how it works, how to problem solve. If your dog does this, let's figure out the right solution to getting the dog back on path, on the right path. So that's really, really cool. Let's see here. So as far as, what would you say when it comes to owners? You mentioned a little bit just that lack of understanding, lack of dog knowledge. There some people, they love their dogs, but they don't understand them.
Correct.
What would you say are some of the biggest mistakes or issues that you see owners making kind of consistently? You get a new client that comes in, and you're like, well, it seems like everybody's always doing this, and they don't understand this. What would you say are some of the bigger mistakes that people make, unintentionally?
Lack of structure would be number one, whether you're talking about a dog, especially that they've maybe just adopted or acquired from a rescue or shelter or whatever. The overall tendency to make a blanket statement is, you want to love the bad experiences out of that dog, and that is not, that's not what communicates well to dogs. So they bring them into their homes, and they really just want to make all the bad stuff go away for that individual dog, and they have them sleeping in the bed all the time and up on the couch, and the dogs are just doing whatever, and the owner is just happy that the dog is out of puppy prison.
They're still living in the dog's past.
Exactly.
The dog is in the present, and what does that lead to?
What ends up ultimately happening is the dog getting a really unclear understanding of their role in the family. The dog starts to get more and more comfortable in the household, and obviously you want your dogs to be happy, but they start to have a misunderstanding about the expectations and the leadership, and a lot of that leadership is not there because structure is a huge way of how we can communicate that to dogs. And so then you start to see the behavior problems worsening because they may have been there to begin with, or just kind of starting to establish themselves, and reactivity, maybe some resource guarding, things like that from not bad dogs, but dogs who are getting really unclear communication. They don't know, you know, it's not that they're awful at all, we're not communicating clearly to them in that household. So structure, I would say, is probably number one, and it doesn't mean you don't love that new member of your family.
You love them enough to give them structure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they thrive on that. You know, it's not being mean, it's not, you know,
it's a way
unfair
of
to
living
them.
with your dog. You know, this is what's allowed and this is what's not allowed.
Yes.
You know, and we're going to work together on this. It's not I'm alpha and you do everything that I tell you to do. It's like, hi, welcome to the home, but these are the rules.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
it's just like bringing in a roommate. You know, you don't want a roommate that's leaving dirty dishes in the sink and you never talk to him about it, or he's playing loud music at night. You know, you'd have an issue with that.
Right.
And yet we allow dogs to be running around the house, bouncing off of furniture, barking at the neighbors, tearing up our blinds. And then, you know, people let that pass because they're still feeling sorry for the dog. You know, well, you came from a shelter, so I just want you to be happy. And pretty soon the dog doesn't take you seriously.
Right.
You're weak to them, and they start to kind of overrun the household.
Yeah.
They're in charge, and then they bite someone.
Right.
And that's when they come.
And then
to
that's
us.
where you get the phone call, and
it's he bit, and it was out of the blue.
right, no signs, no warnings, and it really, you know, I feel like obviously we've got a similar take on that. The people are coming from the right place. You know, certainly I want to be able to help those people. It's not their fault that they've gotten to that point, but being able to inform them on why we need to change some things. You know, why your brand new rescue dog shouldn't be sleeping in your bed with you and that sort of thing, so that you can offer those dogs exactly what they need, because they crave that structure. They need that leadership. And again, like you just said, it's not the old school, I'm going to show you who's boss dominance theory, but it is providing them with the clear communication they need.
Exactly. Yep. How important is consistency in training?
Very. Especially, well, I won't even say especially with brand new dogs, any dog that you have in your house, because we're literally two different species trying to communicate and live harmoniously in a household. They don't speak English, and a lot of people don't speak dog.